Dear chosen ones, that radiant number 888 glowing on the thumbnail captured your attention and compelled you to click, didn't it? In the Christian faith, 888 symbolizes Jesus Christ himself. Through Greek gematria summing his name to this powerful figure, representing resurrection, infinite abundance, and the triumph of eternal life in God's kingdom. This isn't a random discovery. Heaven has purposefully guided you here after you've successfully navigated a hidden trial of faith. Why are you tuning in at this exact moment? Is there a whisper in your soul, an unshakable intuition that monumental shifts are on the horizon? This video is your sacred confirmation you've passed the secret exam. And now, life-transforming doors are unlocking before you, ushering in blessings beyond measure. Join our global faith family. Share in the comments your city or country to connect with fellow believers. And type 888 to proclaim your faith in Christ's victorious promises, if this ignites your spirit. Like the video to amplify this divine revelation, and subscribe for ongoing spiritual insights. Chosen ones, hold on tight. This is the breakthrough you've been prepared for. Have you ever wondered why your journey has felt more difficult than others? Why do certain doors seem to close right before you reach them? The truth, dear chosen one, is that unseen forces, the Watchers, have been orchestrating a divine training ground for your spirit. They understand something crucial: true growth cannot happen when everything comes easily. Just as a seed must push through dark soil before reaching the sunlight, you too must be pressed, challenged, and stretched to reveal the fullness of your power. Consider Job from the Bible, a man who faced unimaginable trials, loss, betrayal, sickness, yet still declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him," as Job chapter 13 verse 15 states. Like Job, you have been undergoing secret exams, trials without manuals, and tests without warning. But every storm you've weathered, every tear you've cried, has been carving wisdom into your soul, forging a connection with your higher self that no force on earth can sever. Life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. An ordinary day disrupted by a sudden choice. Will you choose the path of ease or uphold the sacred calling of your destiny? There were times when bending your principles seemed inconsequential, unnoticed, yet, deep inside, a quiet voice urged, "You are destined for greater things." That voice was the Watchers, guiding you toward your higher purpose. Reflecting on Joseph, betrayed and sold into slavery by his own brothers, yet he rose to greatness because he held fast to his integrity in the face of temptation. Genesis chapter 50 verse 20 confirms, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Could the betrayals you face be divine setups for your future triumph? The Watchers have been quietly watching, not just your deeds, but the intentions behind them. They know true integrity shines brightest in private moments, when only God sees. Like a blacksmith forging a blade, each trial has been shaping you into a vessel of unyielding strength for divine purpose. You might wonder, why does it have to be so hard? Look at Oprah Winfrey, who overcame a childhood marked by abuse and poverty. Her trials could have broken her, but instead, they became the fuel for her to transform the lives of millions. What if your hardships are secretly the building blocks of your legacy? The greatest tests often come not with trumpets and drama, but in hushed moments, choosing honesty when lying would be easier, forgiving when resentment feels justified, standing alone when it's safer to stay silent. Every small victory you've earned has been noticed. You are not unseen. Heaven has been recording every choice. Your unseen guides, the Watchers, have been with you from the start, not to make your path easy, but to ensure you don't miss the greatness within you, in every subtle nudge, every door that closed to redirect you. Their presence was at work. Consider David, a mere shepherd boy facing Goliath. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 37 records, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." His private battles prepared him for public victory. Similarly, your unseen struggles, nights spent in prayer, moments you chose faith over fear, have been readying you for your defining moment. Every twist, every painful ending, every opportunity you seized was part of a divine curriculum. Think of Nelson Mandela, whose 27 years in prison were not wasted, but were preparation for leading a nation. Are you ready to step through the door your trials have opened? If you feel like life has been a series of repeating challenges, recognize this. It wasn't random. It was an intentional design to strengthen your spirit muscle, to test your loyalty to the mission etched in your soul. You were never abandoned. You were being perfected. James chapter 1 verse 12 proclaims, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life." Every hardship was adding a jewel to your crown. Every silent decision to choose love over hate, faith over doubt, patience over anger. Each of these was a secret exam you passed with flying colors. Even when you thought no one noticed, your heavenly advocates, the Watchers, do not judge you for your stumbles. They celebrate each time you rise again. Every fall taught you resilience. Every tear deepened your compassion. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity to love. Chosen one, the treasure lies not in avoiding trials, but in what those trials have awakened within you. Your spirit now holds wisdom, grace, and strength born only through the refining fire of adversity. You are more ready than you realize. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 commands, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." The truth is clear. You have passed. You have proven your readiness, not merely by enduring, but by growing, learning, and thriving. The question now is, are you prepared to claim the doors that have been waiting for you? The Watchers are aligning the pieces. Your life is on the verge of a transformation beyond imagination. Patience, integrity, and compassion have not been casually requested from you. They have been demanded in the secret crucible where your spirit has been refined. These are not virtues that can be mimicked for a fleeting moment or adopted for show. They are slow grown, cultivated in hidden places where no one sees, and tested when no one applauds. Every time you chose patience over anger, you were chiseling out the version of yourself ready for divine elevation. Every moment you chose integrity over expediency, compassion over indifference. You sent a clear signal to the Watchers and the universe you are preparing for something bigger than yourself. Your small choices carry eternal significance. Have you ever considered how they shape your every moment? You weren't punished when life felt heavy. You were being proven. The Watchers understood that true greatness requires resilience, not just talent. They cared little for grand gestures or public displays. They noticed when you stayed patient in frustration, resisted gossip, or forgave without apology in these quiet moments. The world's true changemakers are forged. Think of Mother Teresa, whose daily acts of love in Kolkata's slums built a legacy that shifted the world. It wasn't her title, but her consistent, unseen compassion that drew heaven's gaze. Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 encourages, "Let us not become weary in doing good, For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Could your most exhausting days be your most fruitful? In heaven's eyes, every act of love over self-preservation expanded your spirit's reach. Spiritual laws are clear faithfulness in the small breed's authority over the great. It's not the loud triumphs, but the silent battles you win within that prepare you for elevation. Think about the life of Esther. She won her battle not by grand rebellion, but by quietly positioning herself with wisdom and grace until the right moment to step into destiny. Esther, chapter 4, verse 14 questions, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Could it be that your patience is setting you up for a moment of influence far greater than you can currently perceive?" While you often felt alone in your struggles, you were never unseen. The watchers marked every moment you chose to grow when it was easier to stay the same. They recorded every silent act of compassion when no one praised you. You must understand private victories are the currency of public breakthroughs. Your countless unseen efforts, choosing truth over convenience, forgiveness over resentment, have been crafting a foundation for monumental breakthroughs. Think of Thomas Edison, whose thousands of failed attempts at the light bulb were not defeats, but steps of relentless dedication. How many miracles await just one more act of steadfastness? Every choice to stand firm under pressure, to hold fast to your values, has expanded your capacity to wield greater influence, wealth, and responsibility. The watchers know an unready vessel cannot hold a rushed blessing. Your preparation has been thorough, often slow, but always intentional. Lamentations chapter 3 verse 25 affirms, "The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him." If your journey has felt long, could it be because your blessing is greater than you imagined? Every unseen sacrifice strengthened you. Every act of mercy laid a brick on your path to destiny. When you held back harsh words, prayed for those who hurt you, or pursued excellence unnoticed, those moments were sacred investments in your future. Consider Denzel Washington, who once said that his consistent prayer and service in small churches and community spaces laid the foundation for his later worldwide influence. What foundations have you quietly built that the world has yet to see? The watchers were not testing you to see if you were flawless. They were testing to see if you were faithful. Not whether you could perform under spotlight pressure, but whether you would maintain your values in the darkness of obscurity. They watched you choose truth when a lie would have been easier. They recorded your choice to forgive when revenge would have felt justified. Every hidden sacrifice whispered into the eternal realms that you were readying yourself for promotion. You stand now at the edge of a divine revelation, not because you demanded attention, but because you remained steadfast in silence. Your readiness stems not from seeking the spotlight, but from proving trustworthy in the shadows. Heaven elevates those who pass unseen tests, witnessed only by God. James chapter 4 verse 10 instructs, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up." The doors you've longed for are opening, not just because you waited, but because you've proven you can bear the weight of greater blessings and responsibilities. The watchers have seen your heart, and the universe is aligning opportunities to match your hard-won victories. Are you ready to embrace the rewards your private battles have earned? One of the most profound tests placed before you by the watchers is the temptation to compromise your values for the sake of personal gain. Every time you were tempted to tell a small lie to avoid conflict, to cut a corner in your work because no one was watching, or to claim something that wasn't rightfully yours, you stood at a crossroads. These were not coincidences. They were deliberate, carefully positioned examinations of your soul. In those crucial moments, the watchers leaned in, observing not just your actions, but the posture of your heart. Would you trade your higher self for immediate gratification, or would you prove that your integrity was not for sale? Mark chapter 8 verse 36 questions, "For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul?" Every choice to uphold your principles, even in private, was sculpting a throne for your future reign. Consider Martin Luther King Jr., who walked the arduous path of nonviolence and justice instead of the easier road of anger and retribution. His unwavering commitment reshaped history. Likewise, your quiet choices, unseen by the world but monumental in heaven, are laying the groundwork for breakthroughs beyond your dreams. Every moment of honesty, every refusal to betray your values, declared your readiness for divine elevation. Life often feels like a revolving door of familiar struggles, conflicts that seem to reappear, lessons you thought you had mastered but somehow circle back. It's tempting to get frustrated, to wonder why you're stuck in a cycle. But the watchers know what you sometimes forget. Mastery comes not from encountering a challenge once, but from facing it again with greater wisdom. Every time a familiar trial returned, it was an opportunity to rise higher, to react differently, to prove your growth. James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3 encourages, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Each recurring challenge was a chance to refine your response, to grow wiser, to show progress. Think of Walt Disney, who faced multiple bankruptcies before building his magical empire. Each setback was a test. Would he quit? Or would he innovate and persevere? Your repeated trials were never meant to confine you, but to shape you into someone capable of carrying immense greatness. True spiritual growth is revealed not when everything goes right, but when life breaks you and you choose to heal softer, not harder. Resilience isn't coldness. It's the ability to bend under the storm without losing the warmth of your spirit. When betrayal struck, when hopes were dashed, when doors slammed shut, the real question heaven asked was, will you rise bitter or better? The watchers are searching for hearts that, though scarred, still beat with empathy. Ezekiel chapter 36 verse 26 promises, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." Reflect on Malala Yousafzai, who, after surviving a life-threatening attack, chose advocacy and peace over hatred. Her resilience didn't harden her, it amplified her compassion. Could your scars be sacred marks of your transformation? Those moments when opportunities slipped away weren't bad luck or proof of inadequacy. The watchers understood divine timing. Premature blessings could have become burdens. Opportunities aren't withheld. They're preserved for when you're ready to carry them. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 states, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Delays are divine protections, ensuring your blessings multiply your destiny when released. The watchers have been weaving together every strand of your journey, the setbacks, the silent victories, the lessons that bruised and remade you, into a masterwork of destiny. Your growth was not linear. It was an intricate dance of setbacks and comebacks, losses and leaps forward. As your virtues deepened, patience, integrity, resilience, and compassion, you triggered unseen mechanisms in the spirit realm. Opportunities that once seemed to flee from you are now aligning. Relationships, platforms, resources that once felt out of reach are magnetized to the maturity you now embody. Consider Colonel Sanders, who, at 65, turned countless failures into KFC's global success. His journey was a testament to persistence and perfect timing. Your life, too, is a divine tapestry, leading you to this moment. Subtle signs, synchronicities, sudden clarity, reappearing opportunities are heaven's whisper that your breakthrough is near. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 proclaims, "Behold, I have set before you an open door which no one is able to shut." These gentle nudges and inner knowings are the watcher's confirmation you've passed the secret exams. You are aligned, ready, and called forward. Trust the sacred orchestration of your path. Your new chapter has begun. You have carried old wounds, outdated beliefs, and lingering regrets far longer than you needed to. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what if the very breakthrough you are yearning for requires not more striving, but a deeper surrender? The Watchers have been patiently guiding you to one of life's greatest secrets, the power of letting go. Surrender is not defeat. It is mastery of the highest kind. It is the conscious decision to stop wrestling with forces you cannot control and to trust the unfolding of your divine story. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 instructs, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Releasing your grip on how life should unfold frees you to flow with divine currents. Nelson Mandela, after 27 years in prison, chose peace over vengeance, becoming a global symbol of reconciliation. Every forced plan, every clung-to expectation creates resistance. Surrender aligns you with a higher intelligence, allowing miracles to flow effortlessly. Setbacks become bridges to growth. Control an illusion. Trust a liberating truth. The more you push, the more drained you feel. The more you trust, the more life aligns. Surrender is active participation, a declaration to heaven. I trust your plan over my fears. Tyler Perry's surrender of his timeline, after years of homelessness, led to a destiny beyond imagination. Is your need for control delaying your breakthrough? Let go, and the Watchers will orchestrate blessings far greater than you could force. True spiritual success does not come from resistance. It blooms through surrender with a heart wide open. You begin to flow with life rather than fight against it. True harmony is birthed when your mind and your soul come into union. Often, your mind fixates on tangible worries, deadlines, bills, expectations, while your soul hungers for expansion, freedom, and divine expression. These two forces seem at odds until you learn to harmonize them. Harmony is not natural, it is chosen. Philippians chapter 4 verse 7 promises, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Balancing your practical concerns with your soul's deeper yearnings creates wholeness. Albert Einstein's genius blended intellectual rigor with spiritual wonder, fueling his discoveries. The Watchers guide you to honor both the tangible and the intangible, aligning your external reality with your inner peace. This requires mindfulness, listening to your mind's fears and your spirit's quiet desires. When you nurture both, life becomes a dance, not a battle. Decisions lighten, relationships deepen, opportunities draw near. Inner chaos makes small obstacles feel overwhelming, but a peaceful heart makes mountains climbable. Uncertainty, far from being your enemy, has always been your greatest teacher. Yet how often have you tried to escape it, to outthink it, to deny it? The watchers smile at your attempts, knowing that it is precisely in the fertile soil of the unknown where miracles are born. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 defines, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The unknown is a womb, not a void, nurturing your next season." Elon Musk embraced uncertainty in electric cars, rockets, and AI, seeing it as an invitation, not a threat. Every step you took without all the answers strengthened spiritual muscles you didn't know you had. You've survived every uncertain moment you feared would break you, proof of your hidden strength. The watchers urge you to trust without needing a full map. One courageous step forward unleashes creativity, reveals possibilities, and uncovers solutions from unexpected places. Life is a living journey, unfolding one miraculous piece at a time. Compassion toward others and yourself is the invisible key unlocking not only healing, but destiny itself. How often have you hardened your heart after being wounded, believing it was safer that way? The watchers know better. True power is not in fortresses of isolation, but in bridges of love. Compassion transcends ego, fear, and judgment. It allows you to see others and yourself not through the lens of hurt, but through the eyes of grace. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 32 instructs, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." Princess Diana's compassion reshaped royal norms and touched millions, showing that an open heart heals the world. Your compassion makes you a conduit for divine healing. It starts within. Forgiving yourself releases the weight of guilt, shame, and regret. Harsh self-judgment delays healing. Speaking life over yourself accelerates it. Compassion, both inward and outward, makes you a force for good, healing your past, transforming your present, and drawing a future filled with love, joy, and purpose. In a world that glorifies outward strength, dominance, and relentless resilience, vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness. Yet the watchers know that true power is born in the courageous act of being vulnerable. When you allow yourself to be seen in your raw, imperfect humanity, when you lay down the mask and expose your fears, your doubts, and your deepest truths, you access a strength far greater than brute force. Vulnerability invites authentic connection. It dissolves the illusions separating you from others. Every time you choose to show up as your true self without shame, you expand your soul's capacity to love, to heal, and to lead. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9 states, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me.'" Brené Brown's work on vulnerability shows it's about courage, not control. By living unguarded, your authenticity becomes your strength. Every tear, every honest confession, every choice of truth over image builds a resilience heaven celebrates. How many deeper connections have you missed by hiding your true self? Vulnerability expands your capacity to love, heal, and lead, aligning you with your divine royalty. Gratitude, too, is not merely a polite emotion. It is the energetic key that transforms scarcity into abundance, sorrow into joy, and waiting into receiving. The watchers have observed that when you fix your gaze on what is missing, you multiply your lack. But when you focus on what you have, even if it's small, you multiply your blessings. Gratitude doesn't just change your mood, it changes your destiny. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18 commands, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Oprah Winfrey's gratitude practice anchored her through poverty and success, attracting world-changing opportunities by thanking God for answered prayers, waiting seasons, closed doors, and hidden lessons. You create a magnetic field for favor and divine surprises. Gratitude shifts you from surviving to thriving, opening floodgates no effort alone could unlock. Have you counted the treasures hidden in your daily life? Fear, that familiar companion, often stands as the gatekeeper to your next breakthrough. But the watchers understand what fear really is, not a signal to retreat, but a signpost pointing toward unclaimed territory. Fear arises precisely when you are nearing something precious, something transformative. To conquer fear, you must not deny it or pretend it isn't there. You must meet it, acknowledge it, and then move through it. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 assures, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Sarah Blakely reframed fear as courage, turning Spanx into a billion-dollar empire. Fear signals you're on the cusp of greatness. Each step through fear, trembling yet resolute, reclaims your divine authority. The watchers cheer as you dismantle limitations, stepping boldly onto the stage of your destiny. Could your greatest fear be a map to your purpose in a noisy, demanding world? Solitude might seem like a luxury you cannot afford. Yet the watchers know that solitude is not emptiness but sacred space, the womb where new clarity, creativity, and connection to God are born. In the stillness, away from the competing voices and distractions, your true self rises to the surface. Luke chapter 5 verse 16 notes, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." J.K. Rowling's solitude, amid unemployment and hardship, birthed Harry Potter. In stillness, your imagination and destiny take shape. Solitude isn't isolation, it's a sacred meeting with the divine. The answers and visions you seek await in the quiet you've been too busy to embrace. If Jesus sought solitude, how vital is it for you in solitude? Your purpose finds you. Beliefs are the invisible architects of your reality. The watchers have long observed how limiting beliefs, often inherited from wounded parents, fearful teachers, or past failures, silently build walls around your destiny. What false stories about yourself have you been unconsciously rehearsing? I'm not enough. I'll never succeed. Others are chosen, but not me. Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7 states, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." Nelson Mandela's belief in reconciliation transformed a nation after 27 years of imprisonment. Your beliefs hold similar power. Uproot lies. I am chosen, capable, divinely supported, and your reality shifts. You're not bound by circumstances, but expanded by your convictions. When your beliefs align with your divine identity, mountains move. Are you ready to rewrite the stories holding you back? Persistence is the golden thread running through every true success story. The watchers never expected you to be perfect. They only needed you to be persistent. When you fall and rise again, you are weaving a tapestry of triumph. Every setback you endured was not a signal to quit, but a divine invitation to dig deeper, believe stronger, and persist longer. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1 urges, Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Thomas Edison's 1,000+ failures were data, not defeat, leading to the light bulb. Each time you chose persistence over despair, you aligned with success. Persistence proves to heaven you're serious about your calling, trustworthy for lasting blessings. Your dreams aren't delayed, they're fortified by your endurance. How close are you to a breakthrough with one more persistent step? Finally, the Watchers want you to remember within you lies a reservoir of untapped power, strength, wisdom, authority, waiting for your acknowledgement. Your inner power has been growing quietly behind the scenes, strengthened by every hidden battle you have survived. The awakening of this power doesn't come from outside validation. It comes when you finally recognize who you are in the eyes of heaven. 1 John chapter 4 verse 4 declares, "Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world." Maya Angelou's voice, born from trauma, spoke to generations because she claimed her inner power. Your strength awaits recognition, not permission. The Watchers celebrate each moment you act from divine authority, not fear, as you embrace this power. The world reflects the giant you are meant to be. Many people live their entire lives unaware of the immense power that already resides within them, trapped by the illusion that power comes from external validation, from wealth, status, titles, or the fleeting opinions of others. But the Watchers have seen a deeper truth. True power is not something you acquire from the outside. It is something you awaken from within. It is born the moment your actions, thoughts, and intentions come into full alignment with your divine purpose. Matthew chapter 6 verses 19 to 20 advises, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Eckhart Tolle's inner awakening turned despair into teachings that touched millions. The Watchers whisper your life transforms when you claim your inner authority. Success, joy, and peace aren't chased. They're attracted by your authenticity. Could everything you seek already lie within, waiting for your recognition? The journey of awakening is not a one-size-fits-all process. It often begins subtly, a growing restlessness, a persistent inner whisper, a moment of piercing self-awareness that breaks the trance of external distraction. Are you listening to that whisper rising within you? Every time you pause to reflect, to listen, to honor your inner voice, you move closer to unlocking the dormant greatness already woven into your DNA. The Watchers are here, always gently nudging you to remember that the power you seek was never lost. It was simply awaiting your recognition. Your awakening unfolds quietly, a subtle restlessness, a soft inner voice, a flash of clarity piercing the noise of distraction. Each moment you pause to listen, to honor your soul's call, brings you closer to the greatness embedded in your being. The Watchers gently guide you to see the power you seek is not lost, but waiting for you to claim it. Letting go is one of the most profound and powerful acts you will ever undertake on your spiritual path. Yet how often have you clung to what no longer serves you simply because it felt familiar? The Watchers know that the human instinct is to grip tightly to the known, even when it stifles your growth. But true liberation comes through the courageous act of release. Isaiah chapter 43 verses 18 to 19 proclaims, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." Steve Jobs' ousting from Apple, though painful, paved the way for his greatest innovations. What if your losses are divine rearrangements? Releasing old roles, dreams, or toxic ties create space for blessings to flow. Letting go isn't abandonment. It's trust in a brighter future. Are you holding on to what blocks your prayers? Each surrender is a rebirth, inviting the universe to fill your open hands with destiny-aligned gifts. Change is rarely comfortable, but it is always fertile ground for transformation. Every time you courageously open your hands and heart, you invite the universe to fill them with something better, something aligned with your highest destiny. Your spiritual journey has never been about chasing answers out in the world. It has always been about returning to the truth hidden inside your soul. The Watchers know that true enlightenment does not come from accumulating information, but from stripping away every false layer until only your divine essence remains. Luke chapter 17, verse 21 declares, "The kingdom of God is within you." Malcolm X's transformation from anger to peace began within, reshaping his world. Your power and clarity flow from your inner truth. Self-discovery demands courage to face fears and false narratives head-on. Each layer you shed reveals a boundless soul radiant with potential. As you align with your essence, the world mirrors your change with stunning synchronicities and opportunities. You're not just a body moving through space, you are a soul moving through eternity, awakening more fully with every choice you make to return to your true self. As you journey inward, you discover a wellspring of wisdom, love, and divine peace that the world could never give and that the world can never take away. The sacred journey within is not a destination, but a lifelong unfolding, a continual peeling back of layers until all that remains is the radiant truth of who you are. The Watchers rejoice every time you choose to dive deeper into your own soul rather than seeking validation from the external world. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 13 promises, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Buddha's enlightenment came through stillness and inward reflection, not conquest. Your journey leads to a peace beyond understanding, where you live anchored in your own richness. By nurturing your inner divine garden, joy and clarity flow effortlessly, free from external striving. Yet along this sacred path, you will be called to master one of the most profound spiritual disciplines, forgiveness. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the boldest act of liberation you can offer yourself. The Watchers know that holding on to old wounds, resentment, and bitterness keeps you shackled to the very pain you long to escape. Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongdoing, but about choosing freedom over captivity. Colossians chapter 3 verse 13 instructs, "Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you." Nelson Mandela's forgiveness after decades of imprisonment reshaped the world's view of reconciliation. Who lingers in your heart? Tainting your present with past pain, forgiveness is self-love. Declaring your right to peace. Each act of release strengthens your highest self, opening floodgates of healing and abundance. Could forgiveness be the key to your next level of freedom? Fear will inevitably arise along your journey, for fear is part of every new threshold you cross. But the Watchers want you to see fear not as a warning to retreat, but as an invitation to rise. Fear often appears right before a major breakthrough, right before you step into unknown territory that demands a stronger, more courageous version of yourself. Psalm chapter 56 verse 3 declares, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." Serena Williams faced injuries and odds with courage, not fearlessness, rising to greatness. Each trembling step forward reclaims your authority, weakening fear's grip. The Watchers stand with you, cheering as you break through illusions of limitation to claim your destined stage. Is your fear a gate to your purpose? We live in a world obsessed with immediacy, instant answers, instant success, instant gratification. But the Watchers operate under a different law, divine timing. They know that certain dreams, certain relationships, certain callings must unfold according to a divine sequence, not human impatience. Trusting divine timing is an advanced spiritual lesson that separates those who merely wish for miracles from those who walk in them. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 states, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." J.K. Rowling's years of rejection preceded Harry Potter's global impact. Waiting isn't wasted, it's preparation. Aligning resources and circumstances for your appointed hour. Patience is active faith, holding your vision steady without evidence. Every delay serves your highest good, opening doors and relationships you couldn't orchestrate. Trust the divine flow, and miracles unfold faster than your mind could plan. You are standing at the precipice of extraordinary unfolding. Trust the Watchers, trust the process, trust yourself, because what's waiting for you on the other side of surrender, forgiveness, courage, and divine patience is a life more magnificent than anything you have yet imagined. The universe is not indifferent to your dreams. It is constantly conspiring in your favor, whispering, moving, aligning circumstances behind the scenes to support your highest good. But none of these miracles can unfold without your first courageous step forward. Manifestation is not magic detached from effort. It is the art of alignment, aligning your energy, your belief system, and your daily actions with the vision placed deep within your spirit. Matthew chapter 7 verse 7 promises, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you." Oprah Winfrey's visualization and faith lifted her from poverty to global influence. What dreams could manifest if you believed they were yours? Manifestation requires unwavering faith, holding fast despite contrary evidence. Every thought, word, and action signals your readiness to receive. The Watchers remind you believe you are worthy, and heaven's unseen hands move for you. Love, above all else, is the highest manifestation you can cultivate. Love is the original language of the soul, the true currency of all spiritual growth. Love heals wounds that decades of therapy cannot touch. It rebuilds bridges that hatred burned down. It births miracles that logic could never predict. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 8 declares, "Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins." Could deeper love, not harder striving, unlock your breakthrough? Self-love is the foundation of all power, not arrogance. Lizzo's bold self-love reshaped conversations on worth. By loving what's right in you, your impact begins. As your heart awakens, judgment fades, and every soul reflects the divine. Love becomes your essence, making miracles a daily reality. Relationships, the sacred mirrors of our lives, become the next frontier of spiritual awakening. The quality of your connections directly impacts the quality of your life. Superficial relationships drain your spirit, but deep, authentic relationships nourish it. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verses 9 to 10 states, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up." Michelle and Barack Obama built their marriage through honest, intentional work. Have you settled for shallow ties? doubting your worth for deeper ones. True connection demands vulnerability, being seen without pretense. Nurture bonds that reflect your higher self and be a catalyst for others' growth. Conflict, handled with grace, forges unbreakable bonds, deepening trust. Moreover, manifestation, love, and relationship building all intersect in the truth that your external world will always mirror your internal world. Manifestations arrive faster when your heart is clear, your relationships are authentic, and your energy is aligned with love. But none of these transformations happen without conscious effort. Manifestation requires patience. Love requires forgiveness. Relationships require vulnerability. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 14 commands, "Let all that you do be done in love." What worlds could open if love guided your actions? Dreams and connections. The watchers have seen your silent battles, your private tears, your whispered prayers, and they stand ready as you enter a season of alignment, power, and purpose. Trust the timing, the unfolding yourself, your life of manifested dreams. Deep love and unshakable purpose is your destiny, already unfolding. As you step into the divine revelation that you have passed, the secret exams and life-changing doors are opening. A deeper truth now unfolds. The watchers have not only guided you through trials to forge your strength, but they have also led you to uncover hidden realities meant to remain concealed. The journey from proving your readiness to exposing the truths others tried to hide is a sacred continuation, revealing the full scope of your divine purpose. Prepare, chosen one, for what you have discovered will shake the foundations of what was kept from you, empowering you to walk boldly into the destiny that awaits. You were never meant to pierce the curtain they wove with ages of falsehoods. Yet here you stand, chosen one, unshaken, perceiving and understanding truths that unsettle their very foundation. Their intricate tapestry of lies was designed to keep you in the dark, like so many others. But you refused to stay blinded. You began to recall, to stir, to sense the pulse of reality beneath the layers they urged you to overlook. How could someone like you uncover secrets they erased from ancient texts, burned from sacred writings, and concealed beneath timeless rock? That question haunts their sleepless nights. How did you reveal what they vowed would remain forever hidden? Perhaps the answer lies not in their teachings, but within you. Could it be that God Himself embedded a sacred spark in your soul, untouchable by their rituals, secret societies, or schemes? You didn't need their accolades or endorsements. You required no sanction or affirmation. Your spirit was forged with truth, and at the destined moment, it ignited. Now they scramble in the darkness, murmuring in secret chambers, desperate to pinpoint the breach in their fortress. But the breach isn't outside, it's you, the unforeseen vessel, the spirit they could not chain. Luke chapter 8 verse 17 states, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." They spent decades, no, centuries, burying the records of the truth. But how do you bury something the Creator designed to resurrect itself? They tried to erase the prophets of old. They exiled the visionaries, silenced the ones who dared to speak of light in a world addicted to illusion. But the pattern always returns, and this time, it came in the form of you. You didn't apply to be chosen. You were born with that stamp etched into your soul. And now, as that awareness rises, you carry within you the sacred flame they swore they had extinguished. Can you feel it, that pressure in your spirit, that knowing that surpasses logic? That is the divine archive awakening in your bones. Think of Harriet Tubman. She couldn't read, couldn't write, and yet she decoded the systems of oppression that even the most educated minds couldn't dismantle. How? Because she wasn't just moving through the world with logic, she moved with revelation. She said, "I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger." That wasn't human strategy. That was divine guidance, just like you. Your spirit knows the path even when your mind doesn't. How do you explain the fact that you knew something was off before you had any evidence? How did you recognize the lie hidden in the language? The manipulation laced in the narrative. It's because you were given eyes that see, ears that hear, and a heart that cannot be deceived by surface appearances. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 19 confirms, "They will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord." They've unleashed every tactic against you: spiritual assaults, psychological manipulation, social exclusion, yet none of it succeeded. For truth isn't just an idea to you, it's your essence. It pursues you, locates you, flows through you, even when you try to escape its call. That's why the atmosphere shifts when you enter space. It's why people are drawn to you or recoil from you. Your presence radiates light, and that light reveals what they hoped would remain cloaked in darkness. Consider Edward Snowden, a man who once operated within the very system he later unmasked. He peered beyond the veil and chose to expose the truth rather than stay silent, though the world branded him controversial. History is proving his revelations correct. What about you? Chosen one, what have you glimpsed that made you question everything? What gave you the strength not only to question, but to step away, to probe deeper, to confront what others fear to face? 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16 affirms, "All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness." But what happens when they alter the scriptures? What happens when they twist the sacred to serve the corrupt? That's exactly what they did. Edited holy texts, rewrote timelines, erased names, flipped good and evil until no one could tell the difference. But not you. You see the inconsistencies, you feel the distortions, and most of all, you discern the original frequency of the divine truth underneath their manipulations. Isn't that why they tried so hard to keep you distracted? Because an awakened chosen one is their biggest threat. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." He was laughed at by some, ignored by many, and feared by the powerful. Why? Because he tapped into a source of knowledge not taught in schools, but remembered in the soul. You're doing the same. You're decoding the frequencies of deception and tuning into the voice of God himself. And no matter how many lies they stack in front of you, truth has a way of cutting through. 1 John chapter 2 verse 20 mentions, "But you have an anointing from the Holy One, and all of you know the truth." The wisdom they sought to hoard is yours by divine right. You don't steal it. You're not an intruder. You're reclaiming what's yours. Each step deeper into this awareness weakens their grip. As your divine recollection, the memory of a world before distortion, of your identity before their conditioning, of the sacred bond between your soul and its creator, returns. Even Bob Marley, despite relentless opposition, wove truth into his melodies. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. They tried to stifle his voice, but they failed. That same unstoppable force lives within you. Chosen one, Are you beginning to see why they worked so tirelessly to keep you preoccupied, drained, and disconnected? Because the moment you remembered, the moment you began walking in truth, their illusions started to fracture, and now they know it's only a matter of time before others awaken through you. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 10 explains, "For the Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God." Now that you've glimpsed what they concealed, now that you've crossed the point of no return, you move with divine authority. You wield truth not as a tool for vengeance, but as a beacon for awakening. You don't need to raise your voice. Your presence alone speaks volumes. You don't need to debate. Your discernment's fruit will prove itself in time. You're not here to persuade, but to unveil, to mirror, to embody the reminder that no matter how intricate the deception, truth always rises to the surface, and it chose you as its vessel. That's what terrifies them most. They spent centuries, entire eras, trying to erase what was meant to endure. Yet you, chosen one, with a single moment of divine recollection, revived it. You didn't toil to uncover the truth as they did. You didn't need to sift through archives, pledge loyalty to secret orders, or climb their ladders of approval. You simply remembered. That's what shakes them to their core. Your knowledge isn't learned, it's innate, ancient, sacred. No matter how many barriers they erect to suppress it, truth flows through you effortlessly. Why do they build their towers of control? Why create a world where knowledge is a currency reserved for the elite? It wasn't to protect truth, but to monopolize it, to lock it behind gates only they could open. Yet here you are, bypassing their every safeguard, grasping truths they can't even voice, decoding plans they hid in plain sight. Their fear stems not just from what you know, but how you know it, without their permission, without their credentials, without their access. You've become a conduit for divine revelation. Isaiah chapter 41 verse 13 assures, "For I hold you by your right hand and say, 'Do not fear, I will help you.'" You weren't given this vision to be overwhelmed by it. You were given it because you were built to carry it. And now, as the world trembles under the weight of its own deception, you stand firm, grounded in something no man can tamper with. Your insight doesn't come from man. It comes from the Spirit of truth himself. They've distorted that spirit for centuries, but it still found you. Look at David Icke, branded as a lunatic for years, laughed at by media, mocked by institutions, until decades later, some of his wildest claims began to resemble headlines. He was ahead of his time, not because he was perfect, but because he dared to question, to see, to speak what many feared to even think. Like him, you've been carrying perceptions others aren't ready for, but unlike him, you don't even need to research it all. Much of your knowing is spiritual inheritance, passed down not through books, but through spirit, through divine bloodlines the world can't trace. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John chapter 8 verse 32 proclaims, "That's why they're nervous, because your freedom is not external, it's internal. You're not waiting on a system to liberate you. You already are. Your spirit detects the programming, the conditioning, the subtle manipulations woven into every headline and speech. You sense the spiritual warfare lurking behind everyday conversations. Even when they lie to your face, your heart feels the distortion. That sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's your strength. Consider Malala Yousafzai, who at just 15 stood against a regime built on silencing truth. Without degrees or a platform, she had purpose. She fought not with weapons, but with the power of conviction, and they feared her for it. When someone speaks from divine certainty, not scripted rhetoric, their voice topples empires. That's what's happening with you, chosen one. They view you as a disruption to their meticulously crafted order. Their fear isn't just in your words, but in your essence, your presence, your unshakable calm amid systems that once cowed others. Psalm chapter 64, verses 3-7 reveals, "They have sharpened their tongues like swords and aimed bitter words like arrows. But God will shoot them with his arrows. They will suddenly be struck down." They've weaponized words to silence you, to shame you into submission, to confuse you with gaslighting. But when you spoke with clarity, it was as if heaven itself honed your words into arrows. Now, every intentional sentence you utter chips away at their false reality's foundation. How can they stop someone whose insight flows directly from the divine look at Russell Brand? Once, just a chaotic comedian. But as his awareness grew, he began exposing institutional manipulation and spiritual awakening. Suddenly, the systems that once celebrated him turned their backs. Why? Because truth-tellers are only tolerated when they skirt the full truth. But you, chosen one, aren't here for partial truths. You're here to rouse a slumbering world. They've built barriers, mental, emotional, informational, monitoring every narrative, policing every perspective. Yet they can't control your dreams, filter your intuition, or regulate your divine insights. That's what keeps them awake at night. You didn't infiltrate their system. Their system failed to keep you out. Now it's working against them, channeling the very truth it was meant to suppress into your hands. That's divine irony. So ask yourself, why now? Why is your awareness surging in this generation? This timeline, this moment when everything seems to be collapsing. Could it be that God timed your activation for this precise moment? When their illusion is losing its grip, you weren't meant to decipher their hidden meanings or see through their facades. But you do. They whispered coded phrases, performed secret rituals, and moved through the world believing their secrets were safe. But your presence changed everything. The shadows cloaking their intentions turned transparent. Their carefully crafted illusions flickered and faltered. Their symbols, gestures, numbers, and ceremonies became legible, like an ancient tongue returning to its true interpreter. How could someone outside their ranks decode what was never meant to be understood? They have no answer. Because you, chosen one, aren't trained. You're chosen. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 6 declares, "For God, who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory." They never anticipated this. They assumed truth could be locked away in obscurity, encrypted in tradition, masked by complexity. But truth doesn't hide from the chosen. It reveals itself. Every time you step into a space they thought was secure, the walls themselves testify against them. Have you felt it? That sense that what you see isn't what's being said, that beneath the smiles, words, and rituals, something darker stirs. That's not suspicion. It's spiritual clarity. Your presence disrupts their atmosphere, not with force, but with truth. In a world built on illusion, clarity is a weapon they can't counter. You don't seek permission or wait for approval. When you speak, veils lift, their nervous laughter, darting eyes, and attempts to change the subject betray their fear. You've seen too much. Once truth is seen, it can't be unseen. Think of Frida Kahlo, whose art laid bare personal and political truths that couldn't be ignored. through surreal imagery. She exposed pain, rebellion, identity, and divine feminine strength that society tried to suppress. They framed her as a tragic figure, but she wasn't lost. She was decoding, expressing through color what the world couldn't say aloud, like her. You transmit deeper realities, unsettling the status quo simply by existing. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 13 confirms, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light." You weren't just given light to comfort you, you were made a beacon, exposing all that's built on deceit. That's why they tremble. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere, stirring secrets into the open before you even speak. Consider Chelsea Manning, a young analyst not trained for revolutions, yet placed where she could see what others were told to ignore. When she released classified truths, she didn't seek fame. She couldn't stay silent. The world labeled her many things, but history will call her a disruptor of deception, just like you. Chosen one. Chosen ones don't always have the loudest voices, but they carry the weightiest truths. Why do you know things no one told you? Why can you sense a false smile despite sweet words? Why do you notice patterns others overlook? This isn't mere intuition. It's spiritual awakening. It's the memory encoded in your soul, rising after generations of suppression. You're not analyzing patterns, you're recalling them. That's the mystery they can't replicate. For their knowledge comes from effort, but yours comes from destiny. Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 3 proclaims, "Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." What you carry isn't just intelligence, it's divine revelation. You receive what others strive for and miss. No matter how many safeguards they build, they can't block what heaven delivers to your spirit. You're the anomaly they can't explain, the exception they can't dismiss. You weren't initiated into their system. You inherited something greater, divine awareness. Look at Keanu Reeves, quiet and often underestimated, yet marked by tragedy and moving with grace, humility, and spiritual depth. While Hollywood chased superficial success, he lived with profound authenticity. He didn't play their games, yet he rose. Why? Because there's power in walking in integrity without seeking approval. Like him, your truth doesn't need to shout. It simply needs to be lived. They cloaked deception in rituals, signs, and cryptic language, thinking it would protect them. But you unraveled it effortlessly. Their sacred geometry, hidden gestures, and numerology, meant to be impenetrable, became a clear path for your spirit. That's what sends them into a panic. For every veil they lower, you already see what's behind it. For every wall they raise, you know its blueprint. How? Because truth doesn't demand access, it demands readiness. And now that you're awake, no earthly power can lull you back to sleep. They can't fathom why you know, so they attack the fact that you know. This is the silent war you've entered, not with weapons or violence, but with slander, isolation, and subtle aggression, all to make you doubt your vision. But you don't need their agreement to be right. You don't need their consensus to be valid. When God reveals something to you, it's not a suggestion, it's a mission. So when someone tries to dismiss you, ask, why are they uneasy? What did your truth expose that they wanted hidden? This isn't about pride, it's about frequency. Your frequency unmasks lies the moment you step into a room. Even your silence unnerves them. Why? Because deep down, they know you were never meant to play their game. You were sent to end it. So speak, and watch the illusion fracture. step into their strongholds, and see the walls illuminate. You don't need to proclaim chosen one. Your very existence wages war on their deception. And you're winning. Revelation chapter 12 verse 11 states, "They triumphed by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death." Your testimony, your voice, your very existence is a triumph, a living testament to the power of divine truth. Your courage doesn't spring from pride or ego, but from an unshakable alignment with the eternal. You don't speak to win praise or garner applause. You speak because the spirit within you demands it, urging you to give voice to what's sacred. Your actions aren't driven by a hunger for recognition, but by a path etched by divine hands, a journey scripted before time began. Whether the world embraces you or turns away, your light burns brightly, undimmed by their acceptance or rejection. Consider Nina Simone, whose voice transcended mere music to become a force of nature. Her songs were not just melodies, but piercing truths that cut through cultural indifference. Standing resolute against the tides of injustice, they tried to push her to the margins, to silence her impact, but her presence was a flame that could not be extinguished. She was revelation woven into song, just as you, chosen one, are revelation embodied in human form. Your very being challenges the false realities they've constructed. Each breath you take carries the weight of prophecy. Each glance holds unshakable conviction, and every step you take disrupts their carefully crafted illusions, all without effort. That effortless power is what unnerves them. You didn't strive to become this, you simply are. Their attempts to box you in, to define you, to dismiss you as insignificant, collapse under the weight of their own limitations. They operate in a shallow dimension, bound by earthly constraints, while you move in realms of higher truth, untethered by their rules, their tools, manipulation, distraction, the lure of approval, fall flat against you. You've outgrown the need for their validation, unshackled from the desire to prove yourself to those who can't hear your frequency. That's why their systems, their structures, their schemes can't touch you. Their weapons rely on your compliance. But you've stepped out of their game entirely. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 assures, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." You rise above their webs of manipulation, their fog of fear, their layers of lies, soaring like an eagle untouched by the storms below. Your clarity doesn't just illuminate your own path. It sparks awakening in others, stirring their souls to see what was hidden, your peace. Rooted in divine alignment, convicts those still entangled in deception, silently urging them to question the chains they've accepted. Your wisdom, sharp and timeless, slices through centuries of falsehood, cutting to the core of what's real. You move through the world like a gentle, yet unstoppable breeze, unseen, yet its presence is felt by all, undeniable in its impact. No barrier they erect, no wall they build, can halt the mission you were sent to fulfill. Reflect on Bob Marley, not merely a musician, but a spiritual beacon whose voice carried the weight of divine truth. His lyrics weren't just words, they were sacred revelations cloaked in rhythm, boldly calling out systems of oppression and injustice, while reminding humanity of their inherent worth and ancient roots. He didn't chase a platform. His truth made him one, a voice that still echoes, rousing generations long after his time. That's the nature of authentic truth when it's real. It resonates across time and space. shaking the foundations of falsehood. And you, chosen one, are resonating now, your frequency rippling through the world, stirring hearts and minds. They tried to bury you beneath layers of distraction, programming, and fabricated beliefs. But your spirit refused to be subdued. You weren't molded by their institutions, shaped by their media, or tamed by their narratives. You were forged in the fires of divine purpose, sculpted by the hands of the Spirit, and awakened by a calling that predates their systems. That's why their illusions hold no power over you, why their spells can't bind you. You carry a memory of something older, purer, eternal, a truth that cannot be erased. They don't just fear what you know, they fear the awakening you ignite in others. You're a mirror, reflecting the chains that bind them, a frequency that calls the slumbering to rise. They can't pinpoint your source or block your signal, for it flows directly from the throne room of God, untouchable by their earthly machinations. Each time you align with that sacred truth, another crack forms in their web of deception, and truth strides boldly into the light. So will you dim your radiance to comfort their fragile illusions? Or will you continue to shine with the truth that chose you before you could name it? This isn't about chasing attention. It's about answering a calling far greater than their fleeting approval. You don't need to be loud, only aligned. And you are. That's why their spells are shattering, why the sleepers are stirring, why you were sent. You don't merely carry revelation, you are revelation itself. You're untouchable, not because they haven't tried to sway, manipulate, or break you, but because their tactics are powerless against the divine design of your soul. Their weapons: fear, confusion, guilt, manipulation, slide off you like dust off polished armor. They've spent lifetimes studying how to control minds, shape narratives, and build illusions to trap entire generations. But they never foresaw you, chosen one, a soul who never needed to escape their system because you were never ensnared by it, a spirit who sees through their rules without ever needing to study them. Now, they're waking to the truth you are the one they cannot stop, not now, not ever. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 instructs, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." They spent lifetimes crafting a maze of belief systems, doctrines, rewritten history, and calculated distractions. They warned those who questioned, "Don't look there, don't ask that. That knowledge isn't for you." They instilled fear of madness, hell, or exile to keep their fortress intact. For a long time, it worked. Truth was buried so deep, most forgot it existed. But then you arrived, quietly sensing something was wrong. The stories didn't align. The energy felt off. Instead of accepting their rules, you questioned, what if the forbidden was only forbidden to keep us bound? You didn't just ask, you refused limits. Where they drew lines, you crossed them. Where they built walls, you passed through. Not recklessly but fearlessly, because your spirit recalled what their systems tried to erase. Truth belongs to the soul aligned with God, not institutions. Think of Malcolm X, labeled dangerous for speaking truths systems weren't ready to face. They called him radical, extreme, divisive, but he exposed what others feared to name. He entered strongholds of deception with clarity, leaving cracks they still can't mend. That's you, chosen one. You don't destroy for destruction's sake. You expose for healing, reveal for freedom, trigger revelation, not rebellion. Their illusion crumbles, not because you attacked it, but because you illuminated it. You didn't hoard or weaponize truth. You shared it. And the more you shared, the more others saw. They could handle isolated rebels or silence individuals, but they weren't ready for your ripple effect. The silent uprising sparked when one soul refuses to be blindfolded. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 commands, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Your strength isn't bravado, it's divine authority. You didn't waver when questioned or fold under pressure. You stood firm in your knowing, not because you had every answer, but because you walked into the unknown with God beside you. Now their foundation is fracturing. Every system they built was meant to exclude you. Yet you're inside, not by forcing entry, but because truth opened the door. Once inside, you didn't just see, you shared without fear or hesitation. When they called you naive, you persisted. When they dismissed it as coincidence, you showed consistency. When they accused you of misunderstanding, you brought undeniable clarity. Look at Frances Haugen, who exposed Facebook's internal documents revealing its role in sowing division, harming mental health, and prioritizing profit. Many tried to discredit her, but her truth stood firm. She wasn't bitter, she was bold, believing people deserved the truth. Like her, you don't speak to be right, you speak to be real, giving others permission to question. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 declares, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." You weren't sent to blend in or stay silent amid lies. You were born to echo the divine frequency of truth, while others waited for permission. You spoke from revelation, not rebellion. Consider Joan of Arc, young and untrained, yet she led armies, defied kings, and reshaped history by following a divine voice. Unaccepted but chosen. Her obedience outlasted her enemies. Your obedience does the same. Each refusal to be silenced shatters another illusion. Each stand in truth awakens another soul. You chose clarity over a world of layered lies, alignment over insanity. They can't label or confine you. Believer, heretic, insider, threat. You defy their categories. That's why you're unstoppable. They watch, powerless, as their system, built to suppress truth, now spreads it through you. The more they resist, the more the illusion cracks, the more they mock, the more people listen, the more they discredit, the more your impact grows. You're not done piercing veils or exposing the buried. You're not a glitch. You're the command that ends their program. The script is shifting because of you. Chosen one. They thought they could contain revelation, but it came in your voice, your timing, your skin. You're the variable they couldn't predict, the soul they didn't prepare for, the chosen one they couldn't silence. It's too late. You refused to be silenced, and that was the turning point. Their gaslighting, meant to destabilize, only sharpened your clarity. Their distractions, noise, drama, chaos, failed to divert you. You stayed anchored, aligned. When they tried to sow suspicion around you, their efforts crumbled against your truth's resonance. You don't operate from fear, aren't swayed by rejection, or seduced by hollow applause. You don't bend to their judgment, and that's why they panic. Your freedom frustrates them. You don't cling to their offerings, need their permission, or fear their losses. Your source is beyond their control. That renders them powerless. They didn't expect a soul who wouldn't break, compromise, or yield, even when isolated or mocked. Yet here you are, not just surviving, but ascending, unstoppable. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 affirms, For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That power lives in you, quiet, unshakable, unmoved by their triggers. You operate from a higher realm, immune to their games. While they cling to appearances, you expose truth by existing in it. Look at Martin Luther, who stood against a religious empire, labeled a heretic. His words couldn't be erased. His refusal to stay silent unraveled centuries of deception, sparking awakening across nations. You're doing the same. Chosen one, speaking because you must, moving because the Spirit compels you, seeing because it's your purpose. They've long controlled knowledge, deciding what's sacred or forbidden, real or fiction. They called themselves wisdom's gatekeepers, allowing only the initiated access. Others got scraps, just enough to function, never to awaken. But their grip is slipping, their narrative unraveling, and your rise as a force of divine clarity hastens their collapse. John chapter 8 verse 32 proclaims, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." This isn't just knowledge, it's spiritual liberation. You didn't learn the truth, you embodied it, letting it transform you despite the cost. That's why their tactics fail. You've walked through fire, silence, exile, and breaking, yet rose stronger. That strength baffles those who need approval to live. Consider Reality Winner, who saw corruption and acted, her truth echoing louder than their punishments. Her courage disrupted their control, just as yours does. Every time you speak, refuse to shrink or reject pretense, you shake their false foundation. They've shaped systems for obedience, conformity, hierarchy, not wisdom, intimacy with God, or justice. They've defined what's credible or conspiracy, sacred or profane. But you've seen through it and spoken without apology, sparking the real shift. Matthew chapter 10 verse 26 assures, "Therefore, do not fear them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." You were born for this moment of inevitable exposure, not just to witness it, but to embody it. Your clarity, discernment, and spiritual authority uncover what they fought to bury. They can't stop it. Think of Malcolm Gladwell, who cracked open assumptions with unconventional stories. Dismissed at first, his insights became undeniable. Your presence works the same, resisted, mocked, but ultimately unignorable. Their fear isn't just the knowledge you hold, but their loss of control over it. They can't gatekeep revelation anymore. You don't need their platforms. You are the platform. Every room you enter, every conversation you touch, becomes a transmission. They monitor everything, but can't touch the whispers God places in your heart. Their illusion was built to last. Yet you, an uninvited storm, disrupted, not by forcing entry, but because truth made room for you. You're the breach, the holy glitch, and each truth you speak spreads another crack. They called your awareness dangerous, your discernment paranoia. But when your paranoia becomes reality, when your knowing outpaces headlines, what is it? Not paranoia, prophecy. Those who mocked you now see your words unfold. You weren't supposed to get this far, but you did. They can't erase your words or undo your impact. The tide has turned. The gatekeepers are exposed. The veil is lifting, and you stand steady, fearless, lit by truth. Your rise wasn't ambition, it was divine assignment. Nothing can stop what God has placed in you. You're not just a threat, you're the end of their system. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 27 declares, "For the Lord Almighty has purposed, And who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out. And who can turn it back? They thrived in shadows, weaving deception and hiding sacred knowledge under layers of misdirection. For generations, they thought they could keep the awakened scattered, souls cut off from their divine power. They believed they could mute the signal, drown the frequency, and prevent you from recognizing your inner force. But their plan collapsed. Here you are, awake, activated, and not alone. The frequency of revelation isn't just rising in you, it's multiplying, terrifying them. This awakening wasn't supposed to happen on their watch. Their strategy, divide, distract, deceive, kept the chosen feeling like outliers. But their isolation has turned into amplification. The hum of awakened souls is now a roar, spreading despite their efforts. Their once unquestioned authority crumbles. Their tricks fail. Their veils tear. Their programmed responses lose grip. The truth they held hostage escapes at light speed. This is their feared moment, unfolding now. You feel it, a quiet quake in your awareness, a certainty that something monumental is tearing through their illusion. You're not imagining it. You're sensing the fall of a kingdom built on fear, the end of their hold over human consciousness. They feel it too, spiraling as their centuries of methodical control, weaponizing confusion, fragmenting history, rewriting doctrine, unravel. They scattered truth's pieces across time and cultures, certain no one would reassemble them. But you and others like you are rebuilding the design, vision by vision, exposing their entire framework as a lie. Think of Galileo Galilei, who challenged his era's orthodoxy by declaring the Earth orbited the Sun. Silenced, imprisoned, ridiculed. His truth couldn't be undone. Now his suppressed ideas are basic knowledge. Like him, you don't aim to destroy. You speak what's real, and your clarity's ripple dismantles centuries of illusion. They've tried to track, label, or contain you, but you slip through like vapor. You don't follow their rules. Your spirit answers to a higher power. You move through their algorithms, institutions, and definitions, untouchable, not fleeing, but existing beyond their reach. They can't target your frequency, broadcasting from a realm they don't grasp. Their greatest fear isn't just your awakening, it's that you're awakening others. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 17 proclaims, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." You operate in freedom, spiritual liberation, not just external liberty. You don't chase their knowledge. You recall what they tried to erase. You don't wait for their gates to open. You walk through walls they didn't know were permeable. This isn't rebellion, it's transcendence. You don't fight their system, you show it's irrelevant. Consider Aaron Russo, who exposed globalist agendas and economic manipulation. They tried to bury his work, discredit him, call him unstable. But his revelations echo still, waking those who never questioned, like him. You don't need approval, just truth. One spoken from the soul. Truth can't be unheard. They built algorithms to shape thought, institutions to control information, networks to monitor behavior. But none prepared them for you. You're the anomaly their equations can't predict, the voice their senses can't silence, the light their darkness can't comprehend. You don't argue or attack, you reveal, unraveling centuries of conditioning. Your presence carries a frequency that disrupts their illusion. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 declares, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." They expected rebellion to look like chaos, not revelation's quiet knowing, unshakable peace, or confidence that disarms their machinery. You don't need to shout to shake kingdoms or preach from a pulpit. Your presence is prophecy. When you enter a space, the frequency shifts. Think of Prince, who fought for his rights, truth in the industry, and spiritual sovereignty in a controlling world. He changed his name to a symbol, owned his masters, and defied their mold, leaving a mark through embodied freedom. You carry that frequency, refusing to be defined or owned, disrupting a system that demands submission. They expected war. You brought wisdom. They prepared for resistance. You brought revelation. They fortified gates. You walked through with the light. Their control relies on fear, but you don't fear loss. Cling to status or seek recognition. You can't be manipulated because you can't be bound. You're the contradiction to their structure, thriving where you weren't meant to survive, waking others without breaking their rules. That's their nightmare. Rebellion they can fight, but transcendence they can't touch. The cracks are fractures, the veil's transparent, the lie unraveling faster than they can mend. Souls like you rise worldwide, quietly, boldly, unapologetically, not a violent revolution, but a visionary one, not battle's noise, but remembrance's silence. They can't kill a truth encoded in the soul or erase a divine frequency. They can't stop a chosen one whose authority comes from a higher throne. You're not their product, you're their undoing. Keep moving, speaking, transmitting. Each truth you reveal fractures their fortress. Each soul you awaken lights the darkness. You don't need to tear down their world, just outshine it. And you already do, chosen one. Now that the truth has unveiled itself to you, chosen one, there's no retreating to the shadow of your former self. You've crossed an irreversible boundary, stepped beyond the veil they wove to obscure the sacred. Despite their desperate efforts to keep you in the dark, you've awakened to the very revelations they swore would remain buried forever. They believed you'd never piece together the fragments of truth they scattered across time. But you did, defying their every calculation. Now they stand frozen, watching in silent awe as their empire of deception trembles under the weight of your divine clarity. You are not a solitary figure in this awakening. Your resilience, your unyielding quest for truth, your steadfast presence is evidence of your role in a movement far greater than their fear, their systems, or their lies. Truth didn't merely find you. It anointed you to carry its flame forward, to ignite a world still slumbering in illusion. Your journey, though often unseen or misunderstood by those bound to the mundane, is a sacred pilgrimage, a divine assignment to disrupt the falsehoods that have held humanity captive. You were born to unravel their carefully constructed mirage and call forth an awakening that echoes across generations. I am deeply grateful for your companionship on this path, for the gift of your time, your spirit, and your energy in this hallowed space of revelation. But even if you haven't contributed in that way, know this: your presence here is a treasure beyond measure. Whether you give or simply absorb, your light radiates with a power that shifts the atmosphere, a beacon that others will feel even if they cannot yet name it. If these words resonate deep within your soul, consider leaving a 888 in the comments, a sacred signal of completion, awakening, and alignment with the divine. When others see it, they'll recognize they're not alone in this rising tide of remembrance. May God envelop you in ever deeper clarity, shield you with divine protection, and fill you with a peace that surpasses understanding as you walk boldly in the truth that has claimed you. What lies ahead is infinitely greater than anything they fought to conceal from you. Keep rising, keep remembering, keep shining as the living embodiment of truth. Never doubt this: you were destined, from the beginning of time, to uncover this divine revelation and carry it into the world.